Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Tony Rohr, and I am the Director for Career Management here at WP Carey. I have a couple housekeeping things before we get started, and then we'll do another intro. Oops. Sorry. Perfect. So everyone has been muted so we can reduce the background noise. We will be using the chat function. So please make sure you know how to find that. And if you have any difficulty with my audio or the presentation, go ahead and put a note in the chat feature. We will have some time for Q&A at the end, but feel free to type in any questions while we're going along, and we'll come back to those. I also have in the room with me Brandy Carruthers. I'll let her introduce herself to you.
Good afternoon, everybody. How's everybody doing? If you want to go ahead and let's have a response. I want to make sure that the chat feature is working today. So while you're doing your response in the chat room, hi Alex. My name is Brandy Carruthers. I'm the Associate Director of Recruitment for our graduate programs. I work specifically with our professional programs. So I'm here to help with Tony with the chat feature or anything else like that. If you have any questions, let us know, and we're hoping to make this a really interactive session here today. Thanks, Tony.
Perfect. Thank you, Brandy. So it looks like we have Alex, Graham, Jen, and Rachel, I think, in the room. So thank you for joining us. I know that people are considering different programs, so it would help us if you put in the chat feature which program or programs you are considering at this point. And then if we have any, specific things we want to speak to on that, then that would help us. So we have MSISM, ProFlex MBA. Anyone else want to share programs that they're looking at? Executive MBA or online, MSBA, very nice. Perfect. So we have a really good variety of programs that people are considering. And again, as I go through, if you have specific questions to the program that you're looking at, feel free to type those into the chat. We definitely consider business school to be a privilege. And for students who come here, we do think that you earn several things when you decide to attend a graduate business program. Certainly, you will gain a community of like-minded classmates. You will get an amazing network during the program as an alum, faculty, staff, everyone, and everyone who is here because they're interested in the business of business. And so that is definitely something you earn by coming to one of our programs. You certainly would earn your academic credentials, and along with that comes the knowledge and the learning, but also the personal growth and development you get from being here for 1 or 2 years. And then thirdly, we say you earn a career. So certainly nobody's handing out jobs. It's something that students need to partner with us on and to work hard at and to take accountability for. People come for a lot of different reasons. Their career paths are very different. So for example, in programs like our full-time MBA or the full-time master's programs, most of our students will be leaving their careers and they're looking to pivot in a function in the industry. And, certainly that's something that we will engage with those students and work on, through developing a strategy for their career goals. But some students who might be in our ProFlex or online or executive MBAs or the MSIM, a lot of those students are working professionals and they're here for a variety of reasons. maybe to boost their career, maybe a promotion, maybe they want to stay in their company but pivot to a new function, or just gain some subject matter expertise in their area. So there are a lot of different reasons why people are here, but certainly coming to a graduate business program, you will earn that career as well. When we ask people what they think the business of career management is, typically people will tell us that our job is to review resumes and cover letters. And certainly that is a piece of our job, and it is something that we help people with. But we would argue that we're in the business of talent. And our office sits at the intersection of the market. So we are constantly in touch with employers and recruiters. We are part of organizations where we learn what's happening in the market, specifically to graduate business education. We meet directly with recruiters and alumni, and we find out what they're looking for and how our students can gain access to the market. And then we use that information to inform our program design and our career coaching. So we are designing programs that are relevant to the market and helping students prepare so that they are competitive when they go out and compete for those jobs. So we are in the business of talent. There are a lot of career development theories out there. We have developed our own career management model based off what we understand our students' journey is through the different programs. And if you are coming into one of those full-time programs where you're likely pivoting in your career and looking at a career change, you would typically move through this model in a linear fashion. You would start with the strategy, looking at doing some self-assessments, what are your strengths, your skills, personality, and looking at some career decision-making, where do you think you want to go, helping you build a roadmap of how to get there, and then what we call our pitchfork approach, which is kind of having at least 3 plans, you know, those backup plans. Right now is a really, really good example of why that pitchfork approach is so important for our students. It's something that we're always working with students on, but when things like COVID-19 happen and all of a sudden things shift very quickly, people need to be in the right place to be able to shift their job search as well. And then once you make some of those decisions, then you need to kind of dig in and do a bit more research. If you have specific companies you're interested in, digging into their culture and more of their services, doing research on industries and function. And then once you have those ideas and you've done the research, then you go out and test those assumptions in the market by networking and talking to people, conducting informational interviews, working with mentors. And so really kind of understanding, here are some assumptions I made. Are those right? Are those wrong? Do I need to adjust? Am I good? Am I going to move forward? And then the last bucket there, the operations, these are the tactical pieces. This is what people often think we do. But really, we would say the high value work comes on the front end. And these are the pieces to operationalize your plan. So certainly they're important, but the heavy lifting comes on the front end. And so, you know, resumes and cover letters, certainly we work with students on assessing job offers and negotiating, getting them prepped for interviews, all of those pieces for sure we do. If somebody is not in one of the full-time programs, they're not doing a full career switch, maybe looking to get promoted, then this model is very flexible, because depending on where you're at in your career management, we can kind of assess where you need to work on the model. So if you are staying in your same function area and you just want to advance in your career, we'd probably have you come in at, you know, and work on the product development stage, where you're networking in your company, thinking about your executive presence, thinking about your personal brand, how you can develop yourself as an expert in your field and work with you on those things. So the model is very flexible depending on where people are at in their career development. Regardless of the program that people are in, there are 3 ways that students get jobs. One is the on-campus and global market. Those are companies, typically Fortune 500 companies, that have large structured programs where they can project out 9 months what their needs are. Typically people coming in kind of a cohort style. This is where a lot of the leadership development programs live. And this is where we see our on-campus recruiting program happening. That usually happens in the fall, and those companies are recruiting for students to start the next May. So whether it's a summer internship or a full-time role, they're projecting that far out. Then typically we see starting in the spring, a network job search. So if you are looking at industries that don't typically hire a lot of MBAs or graduate business level students, if you are looking at companies that just don't have structured programs, then the skill set that you need to develop there is around the networking, around being able to understand a company's needs and what your value is and how that matches, and then be able to articulate that through your network and find those opportunities. And then right now, the time frame we're in right now is this just-in-time hiring. So this is a combination of maybe some of those companies that came through the on-campus process. Maybe they didn't get the yield they need. Maybe they had some new opportunities open up. So they might come back in the spring and post jobs. Some might come back on campus. And then the other jobs, the other companies that would kind of fit in the just-in-time would be maybe smaller regional companies, startups, nonprofits. So companies that are hiring when the need arises. And in order to be prepared for this type of job search, students, again, need to work on the networking, understanding how to find opportunities that might not be posted, how to be adept at looking at the online channels and the job boards and discerning between those, and being able, again, to articulate value to companies. So regardless of the program you're in, you will engage in a job search in one of these ways, and understanding the skill set that's needed for that job search is really important. We have a lot of resources available to students. Certainly we have one-on-one coaching. We also offer career management courses. Some programs are required, some are optional. We also provide optional workshops. We are working on a lot of on-demand programming for our online programs, for our evening and weekend programs, so that students have access to the content at any given time. We do have an online career platform where you can make your career coaching appointments, you can sign up for events, you can find out what career fairs are happening. So we have a lot of resources available to students, and we would partner with you and expect you to take ownership of advancing your career, and we're here to partner with you and make sure you have the right resources and get connected to the market. So back to kind of what I said at the beginning about what you earn at business school. Certainly the community, the network, the alums, definitely the academics and the personal growth, but you also earn your career. And it's one of those things where you get out of it what you put into it. And we're here and we're excited to work with students and develop your strategy and help you get to where you want to go. So with that, we do have 5 minutes, and I would love to get some questions and chat about anything that's on your mind, specifically you know, as it relates to the program you're looking at or our office or how we can help. And we also have Brandy in the room if you had additional admissions questions.
Additionally, since we have not a huge participants in this particular room right now, you are welcome to go ahead and unmute yourself if you'd like and ask a question. But we have one question that came through the chat box. What are some of the career backgrounds that people in the Executive MBA program have?
Great question. I would say it's pretty diverse. We do, I think in all of our programs, we have quite a diversity of backgrounds. I don't personally work with the Executive MBA program on the career coaching, but I do know there are a lot of people in healthcare that come through that program because we have some specialization in that area. But I would say it's kind of a wide variety. A lot of those, Brandy, you could jump into if you know more about that program, but you know, I think it's pretty diverse. Technology is always a big one.
I think the main thing that's pretty consistent about our Executive MBA students is they come with 10, 15, 20 years of robust work experience. So that's managing people, managing teams, managing budgets on a high level. So we've seen people come from all different backgrounds, like Tony was saying, into the exec program. So really it's about what you've done within your career and where you're going, if that helps with some of the questions regarding exec.
Great. So there's another question from Alex who says he has 20 years plus in the IT field. He's looking at the MSISM and, you know, is that a value add? So Alex, I think this is a really great question and one you probably want to dig into a little bit more. From the academic side, you'd probably want to look at the classes pretty closely. I'm not sure about your experience, but making sure that you would be learning something that's different than what you have. From a career perspective, I would say it depends. The MSISM program does have a lot of working professionals, and it is one of our masters that has a higher average number of years of work experience. So you might get, you know, you might have some people in that program that don't have as much experience, but it's a pretty wide range. In terms of your career, I think it depends on where you're trying to go. And if a master's program is something, a master's degree is something you need to advance, then you would want to consider that. So I guess it depends on whether or not you're looking at it for, you know, specifically trying to learn new techniques versus you want to advance in your career, that type of thing. So that would be something you would, you know, want to work with someone more closely on. Feel free to reach out to your admissions person and they could also connect you to a career coach in that program. Let's see.
We have time for one more question, Tony, and it's from Graham.
Yes. So part-time program, recommendations for using universities' resources. Really great question, Graham. I would say if you're in like ProFlex or the online program or, you know, not on campus all the time, it really is going to be up to you to make sure you're taking advantage of those resources. There are a lot available, but because you're not on campus constantly, you might not be hearing about them as much. So staying connected with people, having really good communications with your student operations staff, understanding what clubs and orgs are available, And, you know, I do think that everything that's happening right now and being forced to move so many things virtually is actually going to help some of those programs in the future, because now we'll be recording a lot of things. There'll be more virtual programming. But I really think you have to make sure that you also are reaching out and finding the things that you're interested in.
Cool.
Thank you all for joining us today. I know Brandy has a couple wrap-up things, but really appreciate you taking the time to be here.
So thank you, everybody. We really appreciate you joining us. I put the Zoom links for the other programs if you'd like to join another Zoom meeting after this. They should begin their new Zoom at about 12:25, so you have about 4 minutes to get situated. But thank you again for joining us. We really appreciate your time today.